Okay, so TNTM the show presents Comicast 340. I don't know what's going on. I can't see my screen. I can't see myself. I don't know if this is even visually visible. Um if that makes any sense, but here we go. I'm your host Pablo Gunner, and I am here to talk nerdy to you about this week's comics, which is May 30th comics. And yeah, I review them. We review them here on the show live and give away the digital comics. And spoiler alert, because there's going to be at least minor spoilers because I'm talking about these books and DC Marvel comics primarily. Yeah, I think that's all I have this week. And yeah, so I don't know why this is weirding me out so much that I can't see myself. But, anyways, so grade scale, buy, skim, pass, variations, strong buy, weak buy, strong skim, weak skim, and then pass is pass. And then there's also other terms like contender. So I'll say like, hey, this is a contender, and that means it's a contender for the runner-up and or B-bow of the week. B-bow is back and bag of the week. That's the best book of the week. So I got a nice little back and bagging here to slide it into. So that's what I'm going to be doing with that. And yeah, oh, there's a timer. There's a timer as well. Since it's just me this week, JD he had an allergic reaction to something, so he could not make it. So that's why it's just me going solo, which I will be talking about in a little bit. And so that's just 1 minute timer for me, myself, and I. And that's pretty much it. That's when it's time for me to start wrapping it up. And yeah, like I said, I did see Solo. I've also seen Deadpool 2. I like Deadpool 2 more. It's funny. It's the best are the references to like pop culture, I guess, which is more so like the movies, the DC movies and the Marvel movies. That stuff was the funniest stuff to me. I don't think they did justice to the Cable character just because, well, he's trying to kill a kid, and to me, he's all one of his bugaboos has always been not killing kids. So it didn't make sense that he's going to kill a kid. I mean, he's an older kid. He's like a teenage kid. Seems like he's gonna be 18 soon, but he's still a kid. So I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I feel like the stakes weren't there either. Too like he wasn't like, I need to stop this kid because he's gonna ruin the future, which is usually his thing. It's not like, oh, I just need to stop this kid because he killed my family. No, that's usually not enough for him. And I was like, his family? But anyway, so yeah. And they didn't really do justice to X-Force. I understand why they did it the way they did it. This is a Deadpool movie. This is not a Deadpool and Cable movie. And this is not a Deadpool X-Force movie, or it's not an X-Force movie. So it made sense the way that they went about it. So in the end, I'm going to have to say that, like, for me, it's a strong buy. It's definitely worth seeing in the theater, and I will be getting it on digital video disc, Blu-ray. And yeah, and like I said, Solo. So Solo, a Star Wars story. It's weird for me because I initially had very low expectations for the film, but I had been hearing a lot of good things about the film from people that I know, quite a few people that I know. People even were like, yeah, it's better than Deadpool 2. I don't think so. But then again, it's kind of somewhat apples and oranges because it's like one's a comedy and the other one's not at all a comedy. Not because one's Star Wars and one's Marvel, Fox Marvel. Anyways, so so I had high expectations. Not high, well, yeah, I did kind of have high expectations when I went in because people were telling me, "Oh yeah, it's so good, it's fantastic. It's the best movie. It's the best Star Wars movie so far." All these things. So it was this so I think with what happened here when I saw the movie is all these people went in with low expectations and they ended up here, and my expectations were up here and the movie ended up here. So it's in that middle range for everyone, but the difference is it's a big part of seeing movies or for anything, video games, any type of experience. If the expectations are too high, they usually don't meet them. Now that can't be said for like Avengers Infinity War. My expectations were really high and they were surpassed still. So that was a big so that's a factor. And so I do feel like Lando was done the best. Lando was the best. I think Lando was the best character in the movie. We did have the Mother of Dragons, and it was weird because I kind of was like, okay, so I know who's going to live, and I think everyone else is going to die. And so I was slightly disappointed when everybody else didn't die, to the point where I go like, is this going to be a sequel? Is there going to be a sequel to this? Because they kind of leave it to a sequel. And even the way that it ends, like, I was like, that was really odd and that was really weird. They have a cameo by a character from the prequels. And I go like, why? It just felt odd and weird and inappropriate, sort of. And just like, yeah, we all want to see more of him, which you can get more from the Clone Wars series and from Rebels. But it just didn't feel right. It just felt like really oddly played. It just like they shoehorned it in and stuff. I don't know. It was just really odd. And there were certain things that they just skimmed over that didn't make sense. Like they didn't show him getting kicked out of the academy. And that's always been a big thing. Like I've always heard like, yeah, he tried to be a pilot in the academy and they kicked him out. And they mention it and they make references to it, but they don't show it. There's no homage. There's no quick, flashback. There's nothing at all to it. And it didn't make sense because it was like, well, is he just lying about this or did this actually happen? So that was really disappointing that they didn't show that. It didn't feel like a solo movie. And a lot of the things were just like, wow, that's how that came about. That's kind of lame. That's really boring. That's really stupid. I don't like that. Like there's a lot of those moments where I was like, really? Chewbacca was amazing in this movie. There's Lando's robot was really good, and that was pretty emotional and intense. It was a solid movie. It wasn't a bad movie. Definitely not a bad movie. I think that people that go in there with low expectations, it way exceeded their expectations than people if you go in there with high expectations, then you're going to be disappointed. So it's just a mid-range movie. I don't even know if I would rewatch this because I don't know if it's worth it. I think it probably is worth seeing in theaters because it's this big thing, or you could just wait, I guess. I don't know. It's like for me, even I'm a Star Wars fan, I was like, okay, all right. Like, even the Kessel Run, I was like, that was it? That was the stakes were not there for me. Like, the way that it was done, it didn't have that gravitas. And I was disappointed, to be honest. And it was probably where my original expectations were, or would have maybe exceeded it a little bit, but not a lot. So I feel weird. Like, okay, I would give it like a strong rent, even if, I don't know, even if you're a Star Wars fan, I still feel like, hey, it's a strong rent, Even the wife was like, yeah, Deadpool 2 was definitely better. Apples and oranges, but still, if my choice was which movie do I see this weekend or this summer or whatever between those two, like if I had to choose, I'm like broke or whatever, I'm definitely going to see Deadpool 2 instead of Solo. So anyways, I'll go ahead and get started about these comics though. I haven't really been doing anything else. So I'm going to jump into this starting with Captain Marvel. Well, it's Infinity Countdown Captain Marvel #1. Writer is Jim McCann. Artist Diego Olortegui. Color artist Eric Arciniega. And then Clayton Cowles as a letterer. So I actually skimmed this. I did skim it before I bought it, and I was like, okay, does this look interesting? How's the art? Art really solid. It looked interesting. And then I read it. I mean, I bought it, and then now I read it. So it starts off, and she just fights this guy, like something Buster or something. I don't even know, like what the guy is inconsequential. But anyway, she somehow has the reality stone, and they don't really go into it too much, but she has a reality stone. And so because she has a reality stone, she can talk to all the other versions of her, of Captain Marvel, from all the other realities, and come out with the best solution. And so she like daydreams. She gets caught up in these other realities, like, oh, I should have done this different during Civil War II. And oh, in this one, it is Monica is Captain, and then there's Binary, there's Rogue and stuff, and like it was splitting, it was weird. And then there's another one where like she's the one that got cancer instead, so it was weird. And so she's like, that guy shows up, and she's able to deal with this guy in the best situation possible because of one of the other realities that she spoke to. And she was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do my best. And I'm like, really? That was it? Like, that was all? It looked interesting when I skimmed it. And it was just like, that was it. That was okay. All right. Whatever. I don't think you need this. It looks really great. And that's one of the things that sucked me in. And it looks interesting, but it's not really. It essentially just goes to show you that she can talk to you, the other versions of her from other realities, and decide to make the best decision based on that. That's it. It was really long and drawn out for that, and I don't think it's worth the price of admission. Could have been done in like one page, probably. So yeah, I don't want to say it's a pass just because this art is solid, but if you want to get it, go ahead and skim it. But I would give it, it's just a skim. Here's the digital code. Tell me what you think. 65X for X-Men, B for Buster, Z for Zabrak, 8, R for Rich, X for X-Men, 39, P for Pain, H for Hotel. And I also read Doomsday Clock, number 5 of 12. So this one, it is Jeff Johns, and I don't know who the artist is. I don't know where they have that info. But this one's interesting. We have Ozymandias, and he is in the hospital. He's chained to the hospital bed. They're like, this guy's perfectly fine from falling from a building. Nothing happened to him. So I don't know what he did. And so then he escapes, and it's just a lot of info of what's going on with the world. You also got Rorschach. He escaped as well. It's just a lot of stuff about what's going on in the DC universe in this. This almost seems like separate from what's going on in the main DCU, like completely. And so Batman is there at like the Owl ship and stuff, and him and Ozymandias have a little chat. This actually seems more like Earth 1, Batman and everything else. And so they're like, you guys screwed this up. Ozymandias is like, you guys screwed this world up, not us. We're not the ones that screwed it up. But someone did pick this, Dr. Manhattan did pick this for a reason. But it's just like all these different villains are coming into play. Joker's coming after these mime characters and stuff. And yeah, so it's really great. It's really interesting. I did read the extra, like they have stuff at the end, like articles and information on villains and heroes and stuff. And that stuff was really great, especially because it goes into like just the political system between Kahndaq and Black Adam and stuff. It's really interesting, really intriguing. It's really hard to explain to get into with this issue, but it looks phenomenal and it's perfect. I think it's Gary Frank, I want to say, that does the art. But yeah, it is superb. I strongly suggest you get it. I'm going to get it in trade. I'm getting it digitally now from DC. So thank you, DC, for those. But I'm going to buy it in trade because that's how I read Watchmen. And this really reads like Watchmen. And so I want to get it as a trade because I think it'll be read better that way. Broken up as these stories, it really just doesn't flow that well with the other issues. And even in the issues itself, it just seems kind of like lost in translation. So yeah. That being said, I would say that like I said, in issues, I would probably give it a week buy, and not because it's bad, but just weird. But in trade, it's definitely going to be a strong buy. I already know that. I could tell right away. And then there's Star Wars Lando Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing. Number 1, we have Rodney Barnes as the writer, who writes Falcon. Paolo Villanelli as the artist. Andres Mosa as colorist. And so this one is pretty interesting. We have Lando, and he's just like talking about how he's outfitting his ship and stuff with all these nice things, and how it's pretty much just like a shaggin' wagon sort of. And yeah, it's and then you have these rebels on this one planet. They're not necessarily rebels, but they are like, they're not part of the rebellion because it's early in the rebellion or whatever, or in the Empire and stuff. But yeah, he does get sucked into this. Him doing his thing is card games. This guy shows up and is like, yeah, you still owe me $2,000. And this lady's like, I need your help with this job and they're running these guns and stuff. And she's like, oh, well, now you want to join me because you have to pay this guy and stuff. And he's like, I don't even think I owe this guy, but whatever. He's going to try to kill me. So I might as well pay him. So he does this job for her, and the Empire goes after them and stuff. And, they get away from them. And now they're about to get to this planet to actually start the job to help these people. So yeah. And he does say, he's like, I don't really want to do this. I'm not like a good guy. I don't really care about doing the right thing or anything like that. So it looks phenomenal. They get the tone of Lando down really well. And I'm talking more like the tone of what, I mean, what's his name? Donald Glover, he knocked it out of the park with getting Lando down. And so, but the tone and the theme of, because his character's younger in the movie, that they carry that really well into this. So I'm going to have to say they knocked it out on both parts really, but definitely more with the solo movie character of him. So I'm really interested to see the next one. I think it's just a 2-parter and I like it a lot. So the art looks phenomenal, and especially if you've seen the movie, you're going to like the characters that are in it because they have that his robot co-pilot and stuff, and she's cool. I like her a lot. So yeah, so I'm going to give this one, I think it's worth a strong buy and even a contender. So here's the digital code: F for Falcon, C for Cable, M for Millennium, K for Kill, R for Rage, K for Kill, B for Bones, 30, P for Pain, W for White, E for Echo. Now I have Justice League No Justice number 4. It is essentially the same creative team running this as in the past, which is we have Scott Snyder, James Tynion the fourth, and I think Joshua Williamson with Francis Manapul and as the main artist, and then Hi-Fi doing colors. And so essentially they figure out how to beat this thing. These teams, they pull together. It starts with the Green Lanterns, how they're talking about that, but it's a multifaceted thing too. It's like, well, they teleport. Do they teleport? Yeah. So like that planet of what's his name's has been destroyed, of Brainiac's has been destroyed. So they're like, all right, we need to go to Earth and stop this because it's going to destroy Earth. And they created these things on Earth so that these Titans will be attracted to it and want to destroy it. And so they're like, we need to figure it out. They figure it out. They're like, they have to get them like in sync and then like take these stones or whatever from each one, like these energy stones. And essentially they throw these stones or use these stones to attack one of the Titans. And so the energy that comes out of one of the Titans, they are attracted to it. It makes them hunger. They hunger for it. So kind of think like Galactus, I guess. And so they end up attacking their brother and killing their brother instead of destroying the planet. And so it's pretty awesome. It's pretty neat. But like they do end up just going their separate ways because they're like, we can't trust the villains, and we're just going to go our separate way and kind of recreate our own teams because the threats are this level now, like normal. Like that's the threat level for the Justice League. And so they're going to separate into their different teams, like Wisdom, Destruction, and something else, Mind or something. I don't know. But yeah, so it's pretty solid. It was a pretty great series, but you're going to have to, once again, like most of this, majority of it is big panels and big spreads. So therefore, you're going to want to get this in physical form or in trade. Now, this was pretty interesting, so I'm interested to get this in trade and see how it reads in trade, especially because as one complete story broken up. I think it's just going to be better as a complete story. So I can't wait to read it in trade and get that in trade. Hopefully the guys I know the guys from Age will get it for me. So yeah, so this issue and this arc, I'm going to have to go with, I mean, it looks phenomenal and it's really interesting and it's really great. So I can give it a strong buy. Cool. Now moving on to Marvel 2-in-1, The Thing and the Human Torch, number 6. And it is, I believe, the same creative team as well. We have Chip Zdarsky. I want to say it's Jim Cheung as the penciler, Walden Wong is the inker, Frank Martin is the colorist. So in this one, we have this alternate universe where Doctor Doom is pretty much become Galactus, the Devourer, and he's eaten all the other planets of every other world or in the universe or whatever. And so now we have this universe and they're going to stop him. So they use Pym particles on the Thing. He goes big. He fights Doom. That was pretty awesome. That was pretty epic. And Emma Frost is there and she's helping. And so is Sue Storm. She's also helping as well. Even Dr. Doom, who is Iron Man from the main universe. He's helping too. And then he has the choice. He's like, oh, I'm just going to take the power of this Galactus Doom. And they're like, no, you can't. You have to help. The reason that we always, Johnny Storm's like, the reason we always win is because we join and we trust each other and we work together. We aren't selfish. And he's like, you have a choice. You have the chance to do that. So why don't you do that? And so that's essentially, they let Emma Frost become the Devourer, and they change her so that she's not the Devourer, but the creator. They change it. So that's really cool. They essentially do what they kind of did in the Marvel universe where they turned, he's not the Devourer, he's the creator. And so that's what they do with Emma Frost. And then like this Human Torch, he shows up again, this universe's, and he gives the power cosmic back to Silver Surfer so that Silver Surfer can go be the herald of her, which they are like married and lovers in this. So it was really nice. It was really sweet and really cool. And I'm interested to see what comes next. So yeah, it's like at one part, it's like Doom seems like he's getting better, but he also seems like he's getting darker at the same time, or like going back to his old ways. So it's great. I love it. It's phenomenal. A lot of great twists and turns, which I probably spoiled almost all of them, but it's still worth getting because it looks great and it's really interesting. So strong buy and a contender without a doubt. I think this one is worth holding on to. Next is The Man of Steel, number 1. And it is Brian Michael Bendis as the writer and Ivan Reyes as pencils. Actually, it says script for Brian Michael Bendis, but Ivan Reyes is pencils, Joe Prado is inks, Jay Fabok is art for a couple pages, and then Alex Sinclair is colors. Corey Petit is letters. So this one is the backstory of that villain that they introduced in Superman or not Superman, Action Comics 1000 that was totally beating him up, and just like how he was talking about, we need to stop the Kryptonians. They're going to go to other universes. They're going to go with other solar systems where there's a yellow sun, and they're going to get too strong and they're going to kill us all or take over. And yeah. And so then it gets back to, so Superman, there's these two Batman villains that show up. I think it's like Firefly and somebody else, and he stops them. And yeah, one of them, he's trying to be good and the other one's not. Then there's all these fires that are breaking out. So he stops them. It's funny. Well, there's this little girl and she says a cuss word. And he says language, please, which was really cheesy. And it was like, kind of seems like a ripoff of Captain America. But yeah, he's helping the firemen and stuff and gives them an idea. And I don't know, it's weird. Like, almost seems like this lady is bad. And then you see that villain, he gets turned down by the Guardians to able to do what he wanted to do. And then I think that villain arrives to attack him or kill him or whatever. So yeah. It's cool. I really like the way he's written. He is done well. It looks phenomenal too. I like it. I enjoy it. It's a little cheesy. It is interesting. I like it. I think this is going to be a weekly thing. Which Bendis has been putting out one book a week for a long time, even if they weren't the same title. And I think this might be easier for him just because it's a focus on one title. I don't know how long it's going to last, but we'll see. I like it's enjoyable. So I feel like I can give it a strong buy, but it's not quite a contender for me. Not yet. It's just the beginning, though. It's a great intro into this new story and stuff. But for me, it's still just a strong buy, not quite a contender. So here's the digital code: DC for Detective Comics. I want to see it's B for Bane, 17, and then 1, L for Lame, 89, L for Lame, R for Rage, 84. Now on to The Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, number 19. And this one is a different artist. It is same writer, which is Jody Houser. Artist Scott Koblish. Ruth Redmond is a colorist. Yeah, so this one, it's just like it's a flashback to 8 years ago when they went on a cruise. Mary Jane and Peter Parker went on a cruise, and I like it. And so they leave their daughter with the X-Men and stuff. And yeah, and so they're just on this cruise. They have dinner with these snobby people. Just that's how a cruise works. Like you just all go to dinner and stuff, and everybody just eats together. But they go to these shows and stuff, and then of course it gets attacked. So they both suit up, and there's this giant monster thing, and then Namor shows up and is like, "How dare you attack this monster?" And he's like, "You didn't mean to. We're gonna get him out of here." And I don't know, it was really weird. Then he makes out with the captain, and then all of a sudden it's fixed and gone, and that's it. And then Mary Jane, she gets pitched as these snobby people because they were talking crap about superheroes, and like she's just like, they left dinner early with them before, and then this time she was like, "I'm not keeping my mouth shut." And then she's like, "You know what, screw it." So the thing was canceled, but she's like, "We still have a few days of vacation left, so let's just do a road trip." So I'm thinking that the next one is going to be a road trip. The next issue is going to be continuing this vacation, but it's going to be a road trip. I'm not sure. So it was enjoyable. I don't know. I didn't like the art as much. And it was still nice. And I really like Mary Jane in this. I really heard like the Mary Jane from the cartoon series in my head, which makes me want to watch that cartoon series too. But yeah, it was nice. And yeah, I'm interested to see what comes next, whether or not they get back to that like Sinister story or they do part 2 of this little vacation road trip thing. Unfortunately, this one does not have a digital code. I don't know if anybody can see that, but it didn't come with a digital code. It's completely gone. So I will take that issue up with either Marvel on Twitter, or I will go back to Age of Comics and see if I can just swap it out with one that does have a digital code, and I will give it away at a later time on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully in a week or so, or a few days or whatever, a week, doesn't matter, right? So that is that. And I'm going to move on to Batman Prelude to the Wedding, Robin versus Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, depending on how you want to say it. And then, yeah. And so it is Damian. He's getting fitted for an outfit. And it's really weird. And it's just being like with this long thing. And he does get pricked by the tailor. And of course, he is kind of like a little snob and stuff. And then like him and Selena Kyle part ways because they were there together. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go do my thing as Robin. And then this person shows up that kind of looks like is in a cat outfit, but also kind of like a Nightwing-ish looking thing too, and ends up attacking him. Like he just wanted to go to this arcade and play this game, and they end up fighting in this arcade, and he ends up destroying the game that he wanted to play, Cheese Viking. And then like this kid reveals himself as like the kid of Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle, and then he's like, oh wait, I think I'm poisoned. And then he has visions of him like as the detective Batman, which was pretty cool. It's weird though because he has like a shaved head, kind of looks like Lex Luthor, but not exactly because he has and then it turns out he's like, yeah, I figured it out. I'm poisoned by Ra's al Ghul, and he ends up fighting his grandpa and stuff. And he's like, yeah, you're a failure and you're weak and stuff. And then he gets home, and then he talks to Selena, and she's like, are you guys gonna have kids? Because I don't really want you guys to have kids and stuff because I don't want them to replace me. And she's like, you know what? I'll have your back if you have my back. I don't think we're going to have kids because, we'll see how this thing goes. And then Ra's al Ghul like finds a dude that was blinded out and by somebody. Yeah. So it's really disappointing this doesn't have a digital code. But yeah, it's really solid. It's really interesting. It's really fun. I like Damian, and I always love seeing like the future version of him. I would love to see some future stories of him as Batman. That would be really cool because they're never really ever going to get to it. I don't think might be like 80 years before they do that. I don't know if they'll ever actually kill Bruce off, and let Damian, do it. I mean, they've let Robin take over, or Dick Grayson take over for a little bit at least before they brought him back a couple times here and there. So I don't know, maybe. But yeah, so this one's a strong buy. I enjoyed it a lot, but you don't like have to have it, so, but it was still enjoyable, especially if you like Damian and stuff. It's definitely worth it. So strong buy for me. And that's it for now. It's time for a commercial break. I'm going to be talking about one of our sponsors, Age of Comics. So Age of Comics is where I get like half of my comics. That's where I get most of my trades. Like almost all of my trades. They are located in Albuquerque, New Mexico at 3700 Osuna Road Northeast, Suite 513. And the zip code is 87109. You can always call them if you want to set aside anything for you. So I've done that before where I'll be like, oh, hey, I forgot to get this. Can you just throw it in my box? Or, hey, just like this graphic novel, can you order it for me? Whatever. In fact, I just got a shirt, a DC Metal shirt. I'll probably wear it on one of these shows soon enough. And show you, they got that to me, and I got it like within a week. It's the perfect size and everything. Because I ordered small and it fits and it's great and stuff. So yeah, or you could go to their website if you want to, ageofcomics.store, and they have a lot of classic comics and stuff. They have a really cool shop. They have like this giant sentinel that looks like he's coming through the wall, like his head and then his hand and stuff. It's really pretty epic. And then they also have a pinball machine, and it makes sound effects. It's a Spider-Man pinball machine. It makes sound effects that it sounds like it's open. It sounds like the door just opened or something, or like something like the sound effects that it has. So it's kind of like throws you off. But they're usually open from 11 to 6 p.m., 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So they close kind of early. But yeah, they are hardcore about the comics. They'll get your comics pressed for you, cleaned and pressed for you. The classics, you know, if you want to get those graded, and they'll do that for you, get them graded for you, like send them out and do the CGC thing going on. Yeah, so it's really legit place. They put out a video every week of the new things that they got. So you can check that out if you follow them on Facebook. So follow them on Facebook and check them out and go to their store. Like I said, pretty neat, and they know their stuff when it comes to comics. I'll be like, hey, what do you think about these comics and all this stuff? They always have good suggestions and stuff. They get me my graphic novels in a really timely manner. It's really great. So yeah, I just got Rat Queens #1, like the reboot or whatever of it. So I'm pretty excited about that. And yeah, so check them out. Like I said, follow them on Facebook. I don't know if they have Instagram, but I think they post their videos on YouTube and stuff. So if you just, Facebook is probably the easiest way to follow them and stuff. But yeah, go to their store and check them out. They're really great. Let's get back to books, okay? With X-Men Blue. I actually skimmed this one. It's number 28, X-Men Blue number 28. I skimmed it before because I was like, I don't know if I want to buy this. And I said I was going to skim it. I skimmed it and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want this. And I skimmed it. And after I skimmed it, I was like, okay, it looks interesting somewhat enough. It looks interesting enough. The art looks really great. So I'll check it out. It is written by Cullen Bunn, artist Marcus Toe, color artist Rain Berredo. So it doesn't really go into it too much, but it says location, like Magneto has went out into his time portal. It says location unknown, time unknown. And so anyways, he just talks to some people and he's undoing the Mother Vine somehow. And he didn't travel that far back in time to do it. So it was like doable, I guess. Emma Frost switches sides against Sinister because Sinister is like, oh yeah, you're just weapons to me and I'm just using you and all this stuff. So she helps the X-Men and stuff. And so they get out and they attack this Sinister and stuff. And Magneto's helping these mutants. And then they help Havoc, but attack Havoc. Like Havoc is fighting them, but they fix Havoc because he's been stuck with this Axis mind and revert him back in his mind. Emma Frost helps him revert with the help of Polaris and stuff. And he's like, you know, I feel like it's still there. It's still under the surface. So really that was the part that was worth it to me, is like going, okay, we got a reversal of Havoc. That's interesting. And then what's to come next? You know, like, is Havoc going to join them? I don't know. That'll be pretty cool. And then the teaser for things to come seems pretty interesting. So, and he's like, he does say like Emma Frost, Magneto's like, Emma Frost, I'm coming for you. Even though you helped, I'm still coming for you. So, yeah, it's just a lot of weird things. Cause you're like, is Magneto going good or is he going bad? What is he doing? You know, is Emma Frost going good or is she going bad? I don't know. It's this weird middle ground. And so this was a decent issue. You don't have to have it. So it looks really great though. And it's probably one of the better issues of this arc. I mean, it's the end of an arc. So, and I like that they changed Alex. So I can give it a buy. Here's a digital code. C for Cable, T for Tome 61, V for Vegeta, H for Hotel, R for Richter 6, R for Richter, F for Fantastic, and O for Oscar. Next is Miss Marvel number 30. And G. Will Wilson is the writer, Nico Leon is the artist, Ian Herring is the color artist. And so this one is, there's a new girl at school and she's kind of ruining everything and stuff. And she's supposed to be really hot and stuff. And then you have Miss Marvel and Red Dagger and they're talking, like they meet together to take on this villain, or not this villain, but this bad guy. And he's just talking about like, yeah, I want to talk about that kiss. And she's like, I want to talk about this kiss too. So it turns out that Doc X has returned, but inside the body of like this new popular girl at school and stuff. And Bruno has returned, so now it's really weird for Mike and for Mike, his girlfriend, and this, as well as Kamala, because like even them, that was kind of like this weird like relationship place. His friend too from Wakanda is there with him and stuff. And so yeah, it's kind of like a short-lived. It's weird because like the villain came back, but then the villain is dealt with pretty quick. They reveal that it's like an android and fight this android and stuff. And her and Red Dagger team up to take Doc X on, this android or whatever, this robot, and deal with it. And everyone seems to kind of go their separate ways, sort of, but like kind of rekindle things at the same time. It's really great. It's really interesting. I like it a lot. It's like new beginnings. It seems like this is a good jumping on point, but it also wraps a lot of things up too. So it's kind of weird in that way that it's like both a good jumping on point and like a good wrap up issues at the same time for like previous arcs and things, or like this whole run kind of. So yeah, it looks great. I like it a lot. It's really cute. And I enjoy Miss Marvel a lot. So I think it's a strong buy, and I think it's a contender. I'll go ahead and give the digital code away, though. X for X-Men, Y for Yank, M for Marvel, W for Wilson, R for Richter, 24, K for Kilgrave, W for Wilson, X for X-Men, Z for Zone, W for Wilson. Next is Green Lantern's annual #1. This is $4.99. It does have a digital code. Andy Diggle is the writer. Mike Perkins is the art. Andy Troy is colors. And Dave Sharp is letters. Yeah. So we have Jessica and Simon, and they are supposed to do this speech. They're supposed to do a speech at this one place with all these other lanterns on this planet, and this guy, he kind of looks like an insect, and he's like, oh, that's inappropriate and blah blah blah, and like this is inappropriate and blah blah blah, and they're just very judgmental and stuff. And Jessica has been preparing for this. Simon doesn't prepare for it. He just wings it. He does a pretty solid job. Jessica's very nervous about this, has been preparing for it, and she blows it like pretty bad in front of all these people. She goes off some blow off some steam, and in the process, because it's originally about this missing lantern. That's how it started off. Is this planet is their lantern? He went missing, and so she ends up finding this missing lantern and stuff. And she doesn't fight him, and she ends up just talking to him and stuff and figure out what happened, how it went, and then there's this flashback of like the allegiance of this person to the planet instead of the Green Lantern Corps, and he's trying to do both and just kind of like lost himself and stuff. And so they put him on trial and everything. It was really great. It was just a great issue, and proved like, because the other lanterns, they fight the constructs of this, who's just acting off of subconscious. But Jessica, she talks to it. She talks to this lantern, and that's how she figures everything out. And so it was really great. It was really phenomenal. But it really makes me go like, really, it kind of throws me off too, because I'm like, yeah, but we just saw in the previous Green Lanterns issue that they're going to go after her because she's altered her ring, or her ring is altered to her personality. So, but still, as a one-shot, it's really great. And really shows off each character really well of the Green Lanterns. These two characters primarily, mostly Jessica Cruz, but also the other Green Lanterns too a little bit. So I can give this one a strong buy and a contender for sure. This one has a digital code. I'm really tempted to keep it, but I'll give it anyways. Here's DC for Detective Comics, C for Crazy 17, M for Marvel, F for Fantastic 9, K for Kill, N for Nova 5, F for Frank, P for Pain. Yeah. Anyways. Moving on to Spider-Gwen #32. It is written, same creative team, written Jason Latour, Rabia Rodriguez is artist. Rico Renzi is color artist. Clayton Cowles letter. And this one is interesting. We have this Mary Jane and this girl sleeping in the same bed. I didn't know does she have a girlfriend in this universe? Anyways, doesn't matter. We have Matt Murdock. He gets the hand all over the world, talks to him. Mary Jane ends up giving like the spider venom to her friends to help her, I guess. I don't know. And then like she goes after Matt Murdock again and deals with him and is like, you tried to fool me into all this, and that's not the case. And I've figured out this perfect resonance with the thing. And yeah, it's resolved a lot of things. She turns herself in because they know who she is now and everything. This is just, here's the thing. Like, this is a really solid issue, and this looks great, and I like it a lot. But this is just a thing that's going to be way better in trade. And to be honest, I want to get this whole run in trade and like as an omnibus, because I think it would just read phenomenally in trade. Especially this Spider Gwenum arc, like this last arc was done the best. Well, I mean, I don't really like the way it looks, but just like the writing and story and stuff is really great. So I can give this one a strong buy. I don't know why it just doesn't feel like quite a contender, though. Here's a digital code. F for Familia, C for Carlos, M for Marcos, X for Xavier, 7, C for Carlos, D for Diego, K for Kilo, 9, 2, S for Senor, L for Lupita. Next is Green Arrow Annual number 2. So it's the second annual Green Arrow Annual they've done. This was $4.99. This one does have a digital comic. At the end, it is Julie and Shauna Benson as writers, Carmen Carnero as artist, Trish Mulvihill as colorist, Darren Benet as the letterer. And so this is actually a tie-in, a JLA tie-in, DOA tie-in, or it's a Justice League No Justice tie-in is what it is. And so it's when all this started, like this Brainiac thing was sucking up heroes and stuff. And so he fights this guy that is this villain that's this really big jacked mobster dude. And he thinks he's going after that guy, but he's actually going after him, after Oliver, because he's a hero and stuff. And he's like, oh, well, what happened to Black Canary? And so he gets in contact with Batgirl and is like, hey, Black Canary is in this area. So he's like, I'm going to go there. So he flies there. He gets in his plane and flies there, which is pretty awesome, pretty epic. They do have all these different Brainiac machines that is to counteract each hero and stuff. And he's like, okay, I just will use different arrows for different robots and stuff, which is pretty awesome, hardcore, and pretty cool. So, and then he's like, oh, I need to go to the Arctic to deal with what's her name? Muller, or what's her name? Yeah. So to figure out what's going on. And that's pretty much what leads up to. And then it jumps to after the thing as well, to after the fact of like after he gets this box from Martian Manhunter where it's essentially the thing. It's, I think, the thing that Batman came up with to how to take down all the Justice Leaguers and stuff. And then like him and Black Canary like go on a little road trip, or about to go to on a road trip, and he doesn't tell her. So yeah, that's essentially it. It was really cool, really interesting tie-in. I liked it a lot, really enjoyable. I can give it a strong buy. It looks really great. I mean, it's a great tie-in. You don't need to pick up Justice League No Justice to know what's going on in here until the end, where they just skip, and then you'd be kind of lost. But it still is enough for it to make sense. So it's still a strong buy, and I think it's still worth a contender. But I'll give the digital code away anyways. It's DC for Detective Comics, C for Comics 17, J for Jack, P for Pain, R for Rage, Y for Yellow 6, F for Frank 76. And the last book, it is The Punisher 225. Matthew Rosenberg is the writer, artist Guiu Villanova, colorist Lee Lowridge, Corey Petit is the letterer. This is just pure epicness. I love this book. It's so freaking great and phenomenal. The heroes show up and they're like, we're here to take you down. But it's not the A-listers. You have people that are like stand-ins. Well, there's Spider-Man, there's Tigra, there's Beast, there's Cannonball, there's U.S. Agent, there's The Thing, there's Herc, there's Captain Marvel, there's Spider-Woman, there's Luke Cage, Falcon, and Quake. And so he takes them all on. It's pretty crazy, and he's doing a pretty good job until he faces off against The Thing and Hercules. And so, yeah. And then he finds a way, he escapes, and he goes on the subway, and essentially he's like, he's just looking for a scientist that can fix his suit and work on his suit and stuff. And he's like, I need somebody, and so that he can take care of those nanites that has tracking his suit. He does find Nick Fury, Nick Jr., and he's like, and he talks to him, and he's like, all right, well, they're like, no one wants to work with you because you worked with Hydra. And he was like, all right, fine then, I'll go kill them all. And so now he's tracking down Zemo and all the other Hydra heads or whatever. And yeah, it looks like Zemo's the next one. So essentially he's fighting like they're on his tail, like they're looking for him, and he's looking to kill these people. It's really epic. It's really awesome. It's phenomenal. It's a strong buy. It's a contender. And it's another book with a digital code that I am going to hold on to, which leaves me at 2 digital codes that I am holding on to. And that is it for this week for the comics. Yeah, it's that's it. So it's time for me to announce my runner-up and back and bag for the week. I feel like it is not that hard. There's a lot of great issues here. I mean, Green Lantern and Green Arrow are really solid. But, you know, I'm probably just going to go with these books that I have here, which is Punisher as my runner-up, 225 as my runner-up, and then The Thing and Human Torch as the back and bag of the week. Just because they're so great. They're so well done. They look phenomenal. They're really interesting. They have nice twists and turns. I never know where Punisher is going. And like this thing that was just a gimmick is turning out to be like the best thing that's like happened to Punisher comics. And I'm like, yeah, he's elevated to this level where like before they're like, oh, he's just a crazy dude with a gun on the streets. And they were fine with that. But now that he has the suit of their dead friend and he's changed it to his mission statement, now they're like, no, F no. We're putting a stop to this. So I'll give the digital code for that away. G for Glorious, E for Echo, V for Villain, J for Jack, G for Glorious, D for Dave, T for Thomas, 4, 2, A for Alpha, J for Jack. That was the one for Punisher, 225. But I'm going to hold on to the code for The Thing and Human Torch, but this one's just phenomenal and it looks great. And it's just, I love Chip Zdarsky's story on this and I can't wait to get more. It's always a phenomenal issue with great twists and turns. So yeah, I pretty much spoiled all of it and told everybody why I already would think that. So yeah, but back and bag of the week right here. If you want this digital code though, I will give it to you. Share this Comicast. You know, you can share. I don't care on what you use. You can use Facebook, you can use Twitter, you can use Instagram, you can use Tumblr. You can use YouTube, wherever you Twitter, anywhere you share it. I'll give you the first person. I'll give this digital code. By the way, I don't know if people think that somebody already has gotten the digital code for previous Comicast, but they haven't. So now I'm starting to get a stack of B-bows that I have not given the digital codes away because people are too afraid to share it or what, I don't know, or they think it's already been taken. That's not the case. We don't have that many listeners, it's at least right away from the get-go. So, it's been like a week later and still nobody has. Same thing I did the 1000th post for our website, which is The Sword, Volume 1 Fire by the Luna Brothers. No one has shared that post so that they can get that digital comic. Actually, somebody did on Twitter, but they never sent me their info so that I could send it to them. And like I said in the instructions, share it. I don't care what social media outlet you use. Share it. Give me your info. I'll mail it to you. That easy. They didn't give me their info. I could ask them for their info. I might ask them for their info, but I'm just throwing it out there because I think they just shared it because they're nice peeps. But anyways, if you want this or any of the other comics that have been B-Bows, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give other comics. Like I said, I still have to do the Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows number 19. You have to get the digital code for that one because it wasn't even in there. It's not on there at all, you know? But yeah, that is it for that. So like I said, you check all our stuff at TNTM the show. That's everything. Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube. You know, check out our Matucci's review, Italian restaurant review. It's cheesy, it's stupid, but it's kind of funny. I hope you enjoy it as well as the other stupid, cheesy things that we do. That's stupid and cheesy. And yeah, so check it all out on our YouTube and our website, TNTM the show. So that's it for me for now. Hope you enjoyed this week's comics. And if you want more, hit me up. Keep your clothes hungry for comics.